All right, well, let's get started. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Leverage Webinar with Weka. Today, we're going to be talking about e-commerce and the integration with MYOB Advanced, and going through how the two products work with one another in a whole harmonized environment, and also how end users or customers of MYOB Advanced and Weka can be self-enabled to enable and enhance the product itself. So we have Matt Jones from Weka joining us today, and he'll be taking us through the e-commerce solution. And he'll take you through a few scenarios today so you get a sense of what it would be like. And at the end, we'll be able to answer any of your questions you may have. So, if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please just use the Zoom panel, the Q&A panel, and we'll answer them at the end. Otherwise, we'll open up the mic at the end of the session and you can just ask Matt directly or myself directly any questions you may have around the overall solution. So from here, what I'll do is hand it over to Matt and he'll take you through today's webinar.
Sounds good. So morning all. So we're Weka Online and let's get started. So basically today we'll take you on a journey of integration, and to kick things off we'll do an introduction, go over the webinar rules, and then we'll look at sending a sales category from MYOB Advanced into WooCommerce, and then we'll look at sending stock items from MYOB Advanced into WooCommerce. And then after that, we'll look at completing an order and showing how it comes into MYOB Advanced. And afterwards, we'll edit a page on the website. We'll optimize a page for Google. We'll edit a product on the website, edit a product category on the website, edit the header and footer. And then we'll look at an exclusive offer from Weka Online to you guys today, recap what we talked about, and then do a Q&A session. So that's just what we're going to be focusing on today. So as Weka Online, we started integration was 4 years ago, back in 2017 with MYOB Advanced. And where everything did kick off, we did our first integration with Greentree back in 2016. We're solely focused at the moment on e-commerce integration with ERP systems, including MYOB Advanced. We've got 12 in-house website designers and developers. We're a registered MYOB Advanced Enterprise ISV. And our solution has been tested by MYOB Advanced, and our developers are also certified by MYOB. Just as webinar rules, everyone can just leave their microphones on mute, and we'll definitely have time for questions at the end. So the first part we'll look at is sending a sales category from MYOB Advanced into WooCommerce. And firstly, of course, we're going to go to item sales categories. And we're going to add a sales category called paint. And of course, you can see right now there's no sales category called paint. So let's enter description paint and click on save. And just sort of give it 10 or so seconds just to go from MYOB Advanced into WooCommerce. And when we refresh our page, you'll see at the top there's a new sales category called paints. So now we're actually going to add a product. We're actually going to update a product with that new sales category. So we can go to magazine. And we're going to go to attributes. And you can see right now it's got 3 sales categories. We'll add in a 4th one. And that 4th one will be the new one called paints. And we're just going to click on save. And this will use a push notification to send that data from MYOB Advanced into WooCommerce. So when we go into the back end of this product and wait about 20 or so seconds, we'll probably do a few refreshes here. And we're refreshing now. you'll see on the right there, there's a new sales category text called Paint. So next what we're going to look at is
So just on that, you know, obviously what we're talking about there is just how, you know, most of the maintenance around information, like especially stock, will be driven by MYOB Advanced,
yes.
and WooCommerce would be just replicating that. So, you know, traditionally, you know, with other platforms, that could be a fairly onerous process, but with Weka's solution, it's all done sort of fairly natively with MYOB Advanced capabilities.
Yeah, so just to summarize, the whole idea is giving you guys the ability to completely manage your websites, products, stock, and sales categories inside MYOB Advanced. If you want to update an attribute, the title description, the sales categories, it's sort of using MYOB Advanced as a source of truth to connect to your website. So for this part, we're just going to search for a stock item in MYOB Advanced, and we're going to do a few edits. So right now, we've got magazine. You can see, you know, we're going to change the name to Leverage Magazine. And the description, so first, so we're going to update the price of $270. Updating that price right there will give a sales price because it's different to the RRP. And we're just updating the title and also adding a bit of extra to the full description itself. Just sort of recap, we've updated the description here. We've updated the long description and the price just to send to WooCommerce. So we click on save, they'll use a push notification to send that data from MYOB Advanced to the website. And it takes about 10-20 seconds just to process that data. So now you can see it's 270 and it was 280. The title's changed to Leverage and the description we've added an extra bits to the description as well.
So again, this, you know, not only, you know, the master data or the typical attributes of products or anything like that can be maintained, but also pricing as well. So that would, you know, if you're already on the MYOB Advanced platform and you're already across these ideas, these areas of MYOB Advanced, it would mean that you can then maintain your e-commerce solution as well, which means that, you know, the maintenance of such a system, e-commerce system, would be a whole lot easier for any organization.
So this next part's all about making sure your stock levels are consistent across all different platforms. So the stock level in MYOB Advanced is consistent with the stock levels in WooCommerce. And to do it, we're going to first search for hoodie. We're going to look at hoodie on WooCommerce and just see the stock available, which is 64. So you can see right now, quantity available 64 for the hoodie. And what we're going to do is we're going to release another 30 hoodies onto the website. So right now we're doing a stock receipt. We're going to save that and then click on release. And before it says 64, if we wait 10 or so seconds and refresh, it will now say 94. So you can sort of see, you know, whenever you do a stock issue, a stock receipt, that stock will be reflected on the website itself. So your stock levels are consistent across your e-commerce platform and your MYOB Advanced. So you don't have to, you know, keep two different levels of stock. It's all just consistent.
So just on that, Matt, does it factor in what is actually available versus what's physically available, like physically on hand versus what's available?
Yeah, so we take it from quantity available, and of course, because we're all in-house developers, we can you know, customize and be flexible in terms of whether you want to manage it out of one warehouse, manage it out of multiple warehouses, all definitely possible. So right now, if we go back a step, right now what we're doing is we're placing a sales order, and we're going to order one hoodie. So let's go order a bit. There we go. So we're adding this hoodie to the cart. And now we're going to proceed to checkout. It's using Google Maps, so very easy to select a different location. You see it updates everywhere with that location. Down here, we're using Stripe as one of our preferred payment methods. The key advantage of Stripe is it's easy to set up, and you can also save your credit cards. So on test mode, I've actually had a credit card saved under my account. So between using Google Maps and Stripe, it's very easy for customers to order. Of course, there's orders going through. Now the key right here is you can see order numbers 319. So that's the order we'll be looking out for inside MYOB Advanced. If I skip us up to a couple minutes ahead to 919, there we go. You'll see when we refresh, you see now there's 3 orders. This order's just come through. This is the hoodie here. And to tell, if we click on the order number, let it load up, you see under customer order, say 1319. That's how we can tell that that order has gone through. And it's just showing you all the different details. So you can see right here, 319, on MYOB Advanced 319. And just looking at all the different details in terms of what's come through. And more important, just as important, is the payment line as well. So this payment line's come from Stripe, and we've attached it to the payment method Visa and this cash account right here. So we can have different pay methods for different pay methods. Like, we could call it Stripe, we could call it PayPal UK, and just have different pay methods, cash accounts aligned to different payments. So that's the one hoodie we've ordered that's just gone through from WooCommerce into MYOB Advanced. And we're just going to summarize that soon. Here we go. So what we did is we clicked on a hoodie, added to the cart, went to the checkout, agreed on terms and conditions. Sales orders normally take between 1 and 2 minutes, so we just had to wait that time out. And of course, then we checked that the sales orders are in MYOB Advanced.
So Matt, once that order is then, shipped and invoiced, notifications can go to the end customer regarding the progress of that order.
Yeah, I mean, we can take it to the point where we integrate with one of the shipping companies out there, or one of the shipping services like WHM or TransDirect, where the customer can get regular notifications about where their shipment is in transit. So if it's with the shipping provider, is it currently on the road? We can do all sorts of different notifications, and we can also streamline from sales order to shipments as well.
Great, and there'd be obviously a range of types of notifications, either via SMS or email, as one of them.
Yep. SMS does, depending on the provider, does cost per SMS sent out, but email's free, so either one is all good.
Cool.
So right here is we're going to edit a page on the website. So just sort of showing you some functionality behind WordPress and WooCommerce. So this is the About Us page. We can go to it right now. So right now, this here is called WordPress Bakery. It's a drag and drop editor. So it's quite easy to edit text areas, images, and add in different little features and widgets. And of course, if you do need help, we've got videos, and we can also help you one-on-one as well, just sort of understand how to use the system if you want to have your pages updated internally. So what I'm doing right here is I'm going to edit the title. So I'm going to remove the with leverage. And you can see I'm just going to do a refresh. Now this is called About MYOB Integration instead of MYOB Integration with Leverage. This is just showing you the different sort of layers we've made. We've made empty spaces, which is just a spacing. We've made text. We've got raw HTML if you've a bit more advanced with images. and here's us just adding new elements in. And these different elements available.
So with this sort of screen, there's obviously a lot of capabilities here, and most typical people might not be up to speed with this sort of capabilities and what they should be trying to achieve. Is there plenty of learning material available so people can get themselves up to speed if they choose to? Or
yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got a library of videos available. Plus, I quite like deal with our customers one-on-one, so we can sit down with you guys. I guess with COVID-19, through Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and just show you how to add in images, create different rows and columns, add in text and so forth.
Yeah, as different campaigns, different strategies, different imagery or anything like that, that can happen quite frequently. And sometimes if you don't have this sort of access as a customer, you would have to rely on a web developer or something like this. But I guess for the benefit of this type of platform, if you do, spend the time and either work with Matt and the team from Weka or look at the online learnings, you can accomplish it yourself and keep your website up to date and fresh with the latest information.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really need to know HTML or coding for this part, which is the beauty of it. It's all a lot of it is just add an image in, add in text, make different rows up. It's no real coding is required. So right now, this is just us adding in an image. As you can see, this is the media library with all the different images available. So I'm going to add in this can right here to the bottom of the About Us page, just to show what it looks like. And it always defaults to thumbnail. I always like to use full instead of thumbnail. Thumbnail is a set small size, but full is a full width of the image. So that's just going to sit below the contact form, but now I'm going to bring it above the title of the contact form.
So it's very click and drag, very like a UI type of configuration rather than writing code, as you're saying. It's as long as you
drag and drop.
Choose the right widget, the right type of, I guess, asset or anything like that, you can just click and drag and write some text and away you go.
Yep. So as long as you got a good style sheet, colors and stuff, embed in your website, it's not too hard to make things look pretty nice. So this is me just refreshing the page and scrolling down. You can see now I've got a big leverage technology can just at the bottom of the website. And I'll just do a few more things. I'm going to make 3 columns, put the image in 3 times, and I'll put some products underneath it. So you see, firstly here I've just added in a new row. And now right here, I'm going to split this row into 3. So now it's made 3 columns in this one row. And we drag this image across into the first one, and we're going to duplicate this image. So this little icon right here is duplicate. I'm going to duplicate one more time. Then lastly, I'm going to add in a widget for WooCommerce itself, which is featured products. And so we're just going to save that just to show what it looks like. Because, one big image, it's a bit too big. Now you can see I've got 3 images, and below I've got the widget to show the featured products. And if we go back 10 seconds to show you something else. This is why spacing is quite important, because once we refresh and go to it, you can see it's hard up against the contact form. So it's quite good to use the spacing widget just to put a bit of space between the two, maybe 20, 30 pixels, as long as it's consistent throughout the site, what you use.
So it really comes down to an individual's imagination, which could probably be the toughest part of deploying something like this, is just what sort of aesthetic, what sort of look and feel that a business is after. Obviously every business has a brand and a logo, and you want to make sure the layout of any given web page suits that sort of theme or aesthetic. And that's where most of the tweaking takes place. But as far as technically accomplishing the outcome, it's, very easy. Click and drag, as you saw there, several attempts just to get the right look and feel, but once it's in place, it's fairly easy. So
yeah,
I imagine for most organizations, once they've had the platform, Weka online for a while, it becomes very familiar and people get more and more confident with it, creating their own pages.
Yeah, I mean, quite a few of our customers are actually making those sliders pages up all the time. So, after a bit of training, after you get a bit of confidence, you'd if you see it's not too difficult to do it. We'll also teach you a bit about design eye as well. More the basics around just spacing. Spacing definitely does make a difference. Make sure space is consistent everywhere. So this next part is just all about optimization. It's just a bit of a basics to it. So we can go back into the same page. And down the very bottom, there's this thing called Yoast Seo. So you can see right now the snippet is about us, Leverage Knowledge's demo store. And there's a description there. So we can click edit snippet. We can delete all that. And we're going to write our own. And the bar below is sort of a bit of a guide to what a recommended number of words are. So you can see once it goes green, that's okay. And it's always good to have unique titles and descriptions. Don't plagiarize from anywhere, and don't have duplicate descriptions throughout your website. Just use unique, well-written descriptions. So this is more me just showing you, how many words you should write, what happens when you go over the number of words, and all that sort of stuff.
So yeah, Google search engine optimization might be quite foreign to some people, and obviously there's a bit of a skill in order to improve your website performance based on Google SEO. So will you give advice around how to optimize that for each organization around obviously the type of text and not plagiarizing other content and coming up with your own unique content?
Yep. We can send them a one page on just the basics around this in terms of it's all about writing well-structured, a well-structured title, a well-structured description. You can see I've done this on purpose. I've gone over the limit, so you can see it's gone orange. So just have a look. I'll just adjust it, and now it's green. So it's good to sort of keep these two green. And don't copy and paste in here. Just write it yourself and make sure. Even use Grammarly. So I use Grammarly quite a bit. You can see at the top there, the little G. Put into Word, whack it through Grammarly, and make sure it's just well written.
So what do you normally find, like for organizations that might have already an e-commerce platform, when we're talking about search engine optimization, how many of those are not normally well formed, like that aren't, web pages or websites that aren't considering SEO?
How many? I mean, we come across it like, we do come across sites that are well done, sites that aren't so well done. It's all about, putting the time and effort just to make sure your product pages are well written, because it can make a difference. If you've got 1,000 products page that are well written, it's going to help you rank 1,000 times on Google, and therefore, bring in a lot more potential customers. So even you say, look, I'm going to do one page a day. Over a year, you've done 355 different products well optimized. Over 3 years, got 1,000 well optimized products.
It's just something, I guess, for most people, maybe they already have a e-commerce platform and are aware of this, but for those that aren't, it's vitally crucial that you get, your search engine optimization well looked into and well prepared and updated, because, just like most people start with a Google, and hopefully, if they're searching for any products in your portfolio, yours are, on that first page that Google returns.
Yeah, and it also helps with the new features like Google's new shopping network, the Facebook Shops new system. If you've products are well written once, you can sort of put it out to different markets quite easily. So what we're doing right here, we'll go back 10 seconds. Now we're just editing the product inside WooCommerce. So if you want to Some people prefer to edit it on WooCommerce. If you want to edit inside WooCommerce, you can. Just tell us and we'll just turn off the feature sends titles and descriptions from My Advanced to WooCommerce if you want to just work it all on WooCommerce. You can see right here, we're deleting the sales price. And we're just altering the title description, removing a product image. With the one on the right, we'll remove that. So of course you can edit the product image, the gallery, all that typical WooCommerce stuff, which is quite easy to do. Just add in a image inside the description. That'll just show up. Just showing all the different areas we can edit as well, so you can put the dimensions in. And these are just attributes if you need to add in attributes. And once you've finished, always click on update just to make sure your changes are saved. Now it's going to view products. And now you can see there's a picture of a can just below the description. We've removed one of the gallery images. It's no longer on special. So that is optional if you rather just have everything edited in WooCommerce. You've got flexibility to edit it both in MYOB Advanced and in WooCommerce, as long as we know which way you prefer, so we can switch it off if we need to. And of course, always click on that updates after every time you've made a round of changes, just to save your progress. You can see that fourth image has come back in as well. So this is editing a product category on the website. And of course, we can SEO optimize product categories as well. So you can see additional to MYOB Advanced, you can actually edit a description in that category. If you want to edit the title instead of in Advanced, you can edit it here. So you add a description in for sort of SEO purposes if you want to. Change the thumbnail if you need to. We're just going to leave the current thumbnail in. And similar to the page, you can edit the SEO title and description here as well. So this is again adding in a description, making sure we get into that green. And so it's sort of, even with little experience, it's still sort of a 90% job in terms of SEO optimization, on-page optimization. Now it's showing all the different areas, and we're going to scroll back down and click on updates. Then when we go to the category page, once it's been updated, you'll see we've added in the description, we've changed the title, and the SEO has been optimized as well.
So when it comes to I guess the hierarchy and how, your products are presented online, obviously categorization of products and the product families and whatnot, how much time is generally spent on that? Because, in MYOB Advanced, the product categories could be aligned to, how the general ledger or particular reporting is driven, but then, online and how a customer would intuitively or organically navigate the product might be something different, the product catalog. Do you have that capability where there is maybe a bit of a disconnect between MYOB Advanced and what is presented online?
I think so. If you're using just MYOB Advanced, the sales categories, it's just the title you bring across. If you want to put a bit more time into it and to that sales category itself, add a description in, add an image in, optimize it. That's probably better to do on the websites. However, you can sort of gear your website in a way where all you want to bring across is just the sales category itself and not needing anything else.
Yeah, I guess, with what we're talking about today is the tight integration and where things can be managed in MYOB Advanced, but there's sometimes will be things that it wouldn't be intuitive to ERP to do it in a particular way, and it would need to be disconnected, and it just needs to, I guess, have that flexibility, as well as the, I guess, the accelerators around maintaining that single source of truth.
Like, you need to keep the title of the sales category consistent, and maybe just use WooCommerce if you want to, just to, do that bit of extra SEO optimization. So the next part is, of course, the website, you may want to edit the header and footer of the websites. So we'll show you how to do that as well. And if we go to layouts, you see right there, that's called the top bar. So we're going to edit the top bar right here. And we're just going to change around some text, so nothing too complicated. We're just going to delete all this and put in, get in touch with us. And save that. And then we're going to alter, so a different way to sort of say free phrase. Just to sort of show you the kind of things you can do with the website. And we're going to save that. So we click on update, and you'll see when we refresh the website, it will change the top bar to just say different words. You see it will change both the first and second column. And of course, we saw a menu there, which is the custom menu right here. We're just going to change the order of that menu, just to sort of show you what you can do. You can take one of those pages and put a whole different page in. And we click on Save Menu. You can see when we refresh, it's just going to switch around the order. So it's about, my account, contact us, log and register. And now it's going to edit the header. And the header is more just, if you want to change the image to something different, the main image. So we're just going to write in leverage instead. Just to sort of show that you can quite easily change. More often not, you just put a different image in. But we're just going to sort of show what happens when you take away the logo and put in just the word leverage. It'll just be a line bit more to the top. And we're going to bring that image back in. So you click on Add Media. And we're just going to go back to that header logo file. We'll go full size and insert into layout. Then we're just going to add a link to it as well. So quite often someone's linked to the homepage of the website. So we're just going to copy a lot of that across, put into the URL, and click on Update. And then we're just going to save changes and update that again. You can see it's back in. And lastly, in terms of the layout, we're going to edit the footer. So the footer is the part right down the bottom of the website. And this one's a little bit easy to edit in terms of what you can edit. So we'll just click on Edit Footer. Quite often I like to bring this into full screen mode. Just makes it a bit easy to view. But if about leverage, you can put About Us. You can edit the About Us part. You can pretty much add whatever you want to the footer. This is just sort of basic editing. So I'll just put an exclamation mark there. You can see I'm going to go into full screen mode. It's just a bit easy to edit in full screen mode. And these little Facebook icons down the bottom. So I'm going to change this to a square Facebook icon. So you're just going to search Facebook. These are different font awesome icons. I'm going to use the square one instead. So we're going to update, and when we go to the website, scroll down the bottom, you'll see it's all changed. And now it's a square Facebook icon. We've got the exclamation mark next to investments. Instead of about leverage, it's just about us.
So again, like as soon as you know how to drive the e-commerce platform, you know, and just get used to the basics and where you go, it's fairly straightforward. It's fairly intuitive.
Yeah.
Again, it's just that confidence, because it might be, you know, completely new to most individuals out there. But again, if they give it a go, you know, the chances are they're not going to do any serious damage. It just might be some content that's out of place, and you know, the layout might not be completely pleasing, but you know, it can be recovered, and you can get the right balance between, you know, the amount of content and the layout, and I don't like using the word play, but you could effectively, you know, figure it out as you go without too many consequences.
Yeah, so with that, we can just give them a sandbox environment just so they can play around without affecting the live website.
Oh, that's good. So there are, like with every, I guess, live system, there's a sandbox for training and
Yes.
you know, prototyping and that sort of stuff to see if a new theme and new look and feel can be put in place.
Yeah. Yeah, so pretty much instead of marking on the live website, you can sandbox it. Basically you can sandbox the layouts on the sandbox website, and make sure whatever you do looks good and can translate back into the live website.
Brilliant.
So that's editing the header and footer. So pretty much today we've got two different paths, two different options. The first one, no upfront cost. It's just a 2% transaction fee on all orders. Normally we charge $980 up front, but today no cost up front at all, as long as you're okay to pay a 2% transaction fee. And the second one is just $1,500 up front, and it's just a base monthly fee of $300. So it sort of comes down to your expectations in terms of what you think you're going to turn over per month, which is the better option for you. And those two options are available until the end of July.
So those organizations that already have an e-commerce platform, they will be obviously compare what they currently have against this. But I guess for those who don't have an e-commerce platform, you know, and are looking into it, especially with what's going on at the moment, a lot of transactions are being done online with people, you know, with COVID, the pandemic going on. That first option is quite attractive because, you know, there's no upfront costs. You can see how it performs, you know, in your particular industry, and then make a decision if it should continue or not. So it's low risk.
Yeah, so those are pretty much our two options today for you guys to sort of have a look at. And then lastly, I guess it's down to Q&A. So we can quickly just do a recap. So yeah, just to recap today. So we looked at basically sending data from MYOB Advanced to WooCommerce. That's the sales categories, stock items, stock itself. We sent orders from WooCommerce into MYOB Advanced. We edited the website in terms of the pages. We optimized the websites, edited the header and footer. So that's just what we've covered today. And now it's down to the last part, Q&A.
Cool. So what I'm going to do, guys, on the webinar, is going to open up the mic. So if you want to take yourself off mute and ask either myself or Matt a question, please go ahead. So while people are thinking of questions, so what's the typical turnaround time? So, if a particular customer reaches out and wants to talk about, going on the Weka online platform, from initial discussions to, doing the actual deployment and the integration and then going live, what sort of lead time, what sort of timeframes are we talking about?
So the big part is just making sure the data in MYOB Advanced is all correct to integrate into the website, but we sort of like to say, give it at least 4 weeks, and that's just making sure all the data can sync across all nicely. All the images, if you're up in MYOB Advanced, are up there. Titles are correct. The ones you want on the website are set to active for website, so we can have a custom status box there for each stock item. So we still like to give it 4 weeks as a turnarounds.
So how much of that work is generally data related versus technical, if it's from Weka or Leverage?
Most of it is data related. All our systems are all pre-built, so it's just making sure the data is all neatly, all organized and sorted. Because for us, connecting is just a standard procedure.
Yeah. And when it comes to, other areas, so, when it's deciding, what pricing appears, what stock availability appears and whatnot, there's that, a process that you'll take the customer through just to make all the decisions as you go through. And then, from that, it's all data related exercises of making sure that the descriptions and the extended descriptions are correct.
Yep. Plus the payment methods, the cash accounts. So we look at that ourselves as well. We actually go into your MYOB Advanced and have a look to see if everything's correct before pushing the go live button. So we'll guide you guys in terms of what fields you need to update and what data you need to adjust to make sure it's all correct.
Okay, no, so that sounds really clean process, and it's just a case of, if you're in the market looking to either come into the e-commerce market, turning on an e-commerce platform that integrates with MYOB Advanced or replacing one, I suggest that you reach out to either Leverage or Weka, and we can discuss it further. So we haven't got any questions coming through, so what we'll do is finish up the webinar there. But as always, if there are any questions or you would like to reach out to us, please contact us through our support desk or me directly. And at the end of this webinar, there'll be an email sent out with all the necessary contact information if you do want to find out any more.
Yep, sounds really good.
So is there anything else, Matt? Should we finish up there?
Yep. Well, thanks everyone for attending. I've enjoyed this, and hopefully we can talk to some of you guys soon.
Brilliant. All right. Cool. Thanks everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Cool. Thank you guys. Okay.
Catch up.
Catch ya.